book, Cool, Calm and Collected. But I am bursting with excitement because I am here in the beautiful surroundings of Scone Palace with my favourite author, prolific Edinburgh writer, Alexander McColl Smith. Hello there. Now, it's Sandy you like to be called, isn't it?
Yes, that's fine, yes.
And this is fabulous surroundings, isn't it? Really beautiful.
Yes.
So you're here at Waterstone's literary event,
yes,
coinciding with the launch of promoting your new book.
That's right, yes.
Which is here, which I have got, Sunshine on Scotland Street.
Yes.
Now, that's quite an optimistic title, I would have thought.
Well, this year
summer.
it is, yes. This year's been a bit disastrous from that point of view. But,
so what can your avid fans look forward to reading in this book?
Well, it's more news from Scotland Street. Scotland Street is one of my favourite series that I write. And as you know, it's published in episodes in the Scotsman at the beginning of each year. And so this is the book version of the last set of episodes in the Scotsman. And it takes us back to Scotland Street, to the familiar characters there, in particular to little Bertie Pollock, who's one of my absolute favourites.
I know, that's right.
Poor little Bertie, he has a very serious problem in this life, which is his mother.
She's quite a pushy mum, isn't she?
She's tremendously pushy. She's extremely pushy. Edinburgh, of course, has a very serious problem with pushy mothers, but Bertie's problem is a major one.
And he's had to put up with it for such a long time, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Bertie's 6, but he's been 6 for the last 8 years.
Yes.
He hasn't really got any older as the series has progressed.
Poor Bertie.
Which is very unfortunate, because what he wants to do is to turn 18, because he's read that you can leave your mother when you're 18. He wants to turn 18 and go and live in either Glasgow or Paris.
Oh, how lovely. I think he's going to have to wait a wee while, though, for that. Do you not think so?
Well, it does seem to be a very long time, yes.
Each year is maybe like, what did you say, 8, 10 years?
Yes, that's right.
You'll maybe get to be 7 in your next book.
Well, possibly. But you see, I don't really want Bertie to grow up, because I like writing about him as he is.
But that's like all parents, isn't it? They don't want their children to grow up.
No, that's right.
They're so nice at 6.
Well, we want them to remain 6, but when they reach 13 or 14, then we very much want them to grow up.
Yes,
we do. Teenage years. But 6 is about perfect, I'd say.
That's right. I can tell you've been a father. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
Now, my personal favourite is the #1 Ladies Detective Agency series. And the characters in that are just fantastic. And do you know what I love about it so much is it's such a peaceful read. They don't rush anywhere, do they?
No.
And I think that's so lovely, because do you think people rush far too much?
Well, I think most people do, myself included. I think our lives are very busy, and I think it's very important to be able to slow down a bit. And of course, Mara Matsui and her assistant Mara Makutsi lead quite a slow life, which is wonderful. And I think people rather like that. They like the sense of space and the slow passage of time that they see in our life.
And they look at everything quite uncomplicated, don't they?
Yes.
Life is sort of more simple.
Yes. Well, Mara Matsui feels that we shouldn't complicate matters. And she feels that, for example, when she has to deal with an issue, it's probably easier just to ask somebody what the solution is and get the answer that way, rather than try and work out all the clues.
That's right. Well, she normally goes to the matron of the orphanage, and she's got all the answers.
Yes, the matron. If only we all had a matron in this life
wouldn't that be lovely?
that we should go to and ask for the solution. But of course, in this country, matron has been abolished, and we're seeing the consequences now. Left, right, and centre.
Bring matron back.
Bring matron back.
What I've always wanted to know is, why does she always refer to her husband as Mr. J.L.B. Mattaconi, is that right?
Mattaconi, that's right. Well, that's a bit of an overstatement on my part. What I'm trying to do there is to convey the sense of formality that you find in that particular country, and often you find people in Africa treat one another with a certain polite formality. And so I'm trying to bring that out. And I suppose by rather overstating it as having her call him Mr. J.L.B. Mattaconi, then that makes that point. However, that's a bit of a nickname in a sense. Everybody calls him Mr. J.L.B. Mattaconi, and so I think there are some people in this life whom we would always call Mr. So.
Yes, it's that deep respect, isn't
Yes, that's
it?
right,
Now, with all these books, Sandy, you know, all these characters, and you're writing all the time, do you look sort of to real life to base your characters on?
Well, I obviously, like all authors, will base characters on, I suppose, people I've met, but not particular people, in the sense that you go through life meeting people, and you meet certain human types, and you'll take bits from all the people that you've met. So they represent the summation of meeting a lot of people, rather than basing on particular
just
people.
One. So there might be a blonde interviewer in your next book.
There may be, yes.
What a cheek. Now, one thing, I've asked you this before, I know, last time I met you, but I thought it was such a nice point, is Mama Cootsie, her shoes sold her something terrible, didn't they?
Yes.
Now, that is such an unusual thing to write about, but it's true, isn't it?
Well, I don't know why I did that, how that started. I think that people's shoes and their relationship with their shoes can be quite poignant. Shoes are very human objects, and in a sense we're vulnerable without our shoes, and so that might be the basis of this very close relationship that Mama Cootsie has with her shoes. They're aspirational. She wants better shoes. She wants good shoes. She comes from a poor background. She's only had, in the past, she only had one pair of shoes. So all of that adds up. But how the shoes started talking to her, I don't know. It's such a ridiculous thing. But the readers like it, and I like it. Every so often her shoes say, "Just you watch what you're doing, boss."
Yes, we know what you're thinking. It really is. It's really, really good. It's fantastic. Now, you've been on the West Coast for a few weeks, and you've been busy writing, and you've just finished a new novel called Trains and Lovers.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Trains and Lovers is a novel that I've just finished writing over in Argyll. I finished it a couple of days ago, and it's based on stories that I first wrote at the behest of East Coast, the train company, and that they wanted to have stories which they would give to their travellers. They would do a booklet of stories by me featuring trains. So I had done that, and I so liked the characters that I devised for those particular stories that I wanted to continue to tell their story. So I decided to write a full novel called Trains and Lovers, in which trains feature and lovers feature as well. So it's an odd combination.
And when do you think that'll be out?
That'll be out in November. It'll be published in Scotland in November, and then it comes out in the United States in next spring.
Fantastic, because I've read a little bit of it, and right away I thought, where is the rest of this? It was just so good, and the characters in particular, I just fell in love with them. They're really very good.
Thank you very much.
Now, you've got a stage play on at the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh.
Yes.
So,
well, that is a celebration of the history of the Dovecote Tapestry studio in Edinburgh. It's celebrating this year its 100th anniversary, and they asked me to write something for them, which they're putting on in the Dovecote studios. And so I did a piece with Tom Cunningham, the composer, with whom I've worked on a number of projects before, and we're looking at various tapestries that were done by the Dovecote, because they did all these distinguished tapestries by some very well-known artists over the last 100 years, and we tell the story of these tapestries. And I really enjoyed doing that, and it's sung by a baritone and a soprano. And I'm very much looking forward to the premiere, which is coming up shortly. And
it's so exciting through in Edinburgh at that time of year, isn't it? It's just bustling. That'll be lovely.
Right.
I look forward to seeing it too.
Thank you.
Now, there's a little question in the new novel we were talking about, Trains and Lovers, and it was just so lovely, and I would love you to explain it to our viewers. But there's the question, what is the moon? What is the moon,
yes. It's an amazing line from Sean O'Casey's play Juno and the Paycock, in which there's a character called Joxer Daly, who's a bit of a lad and likes going to the pub. And Joxer Daly, at one point in the play, says to the captain, the other character, "What is it mean, Captain? That's the question." And then he asks it again in the play, and of course it's an absurd question, what is the moon? As if this is some great philosophical statement. But it's a haunting line, and I use it in this particular part of the Trains and Lovers, where there are two characters, and one, they're in Ireland, and one says to the other, there's this question from the Sean O'Casey play, what is the moon? And the other one answers, and he tells us what the moon is, which, of course, is very interesting.
It is interesting.
Most of us don't really think about what the moon may be.
Yes, that is. Well, we'll have to wait for the book before we find out. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. The clocks are all chiming now here in the drawing room. It's just beautiful. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
and
you
you're
very
my
much
favourite
indeed.
author.
Well,
but don't tell Mark Beaumont.
Well, I won't. And you're my favourite interviewer.
Thank you.